Hi everyone, I want to show you something very exciting in Asana, which is the new rule editor. The rule editor hasn't changed for a while. Asana just added new triggers and new actions. But very recently, we are right now in November 2023. A few days ago, a few weeks ago, a new editor was released and it's almost released to everybody. So I want to show you how it works because it offers new possibilities in terms of automation. I'm going to use an example, a use case, which is the invoice management in Asana. So the ability to manage your invoices. And I want to show you one specific use case, which is the action dropdown, which is a use case that I love and I use very frequently. And you probably saw other videos about me talking about that very concept. So let's go. I'm going to create the project pretty quickly. You can pause, you can go back if you have to. New project, blank project, that's going to be invoices 2023. I'm going to put that into, HR is fine for now. Actually, I'm going to choose something better. Sandbox is better. Here we go, new project. I'm going to create a drop-down. That is the action drop-down. So I'm going to go into fields, add field. I'm going to use a little emoji because I love emojis. So that's going to be actions. And I'm going to have mark as sent and mark as paid. I remove the colors because they don't serve any purpose here. They just hurt clarity. And that's how things are going to look. So you have invoice 2023 0101. That could be one invoice. Actually, we can call that inv as well as 02. And this action drop down, you probably already know this concept, but the idea is if you click on mark as sent, you want things to happen. You want different actions to be triggered, and using a drop down like this, it's an alternative to using sections or a status custom field, but I feel like it's a good approach and I use this pretty often. So let's build the rules using the new rule editor. So let's go into customize, into rules, create a new rule and go into this editor. That's the new editor. So you might have been used to something very vertical. You had the trigger or the triggers and then below you had the actions. They completely changed the approach. Now you have the triggers on the left and you have the actions on the right, and you will be able to create branches. That's super exciting. In that case, there's a second difference. The trigger that used to be one single box in that graph now is actually two different boxes. You're going to see that we have the actual trigger and then we have the stuff that we want to check against. So in that case, when the action is changed, that's the only trigger. And as you can see, I did not choose any specific value because choosing the value actually comes here. Check if the action is marked as sent. That's what you want to check against. And then you have all the different actions. In my case, I want to change the due date to today, and I want to add a second action. And be careful because you have plus buttons in 3 different locations. They are completely different. This one will allow you to add a second action. This is what I'm going to do. I want to post a comment. Invoice has been sent. Historically, if you wanted to have a second scenario, you would have to create an entire second rule. That makes it harder to maintain. It's hard to know exactly how the rules work together. With this new editor, you're going to be able to create a new branch, and you have to use this button right here. Add another trigger or condition. So I'm going to go on this one, otherwise if, and I'm going to say if the action is not sent but paid. In that case, I want to do different stuff. I want to change the due date to today. I want to mark the task as complete. That's it. I have my 2 scenarios right here in the same editor. Everything works just like before. When you create the rule, it doesn't retroactively apply. It doesn't run right away either. It works exactly the same. The only difference is visually you have those 2 rules defined in the same editor. We haven't touched on this one. This one is very interesting. If you click on this one, you can actually add a second condition. Here we go. You can have or and. That would be a way to decide how you want to group together the different triggers. We used to have this, but it was a or that applies to everything or and that applies to everything. In that case, you can really play with the different operators. So make sure to test this out. It's a bit complex, but it's very interesting. You can also have different triggers here. It's opening a lot of doors and it's very exciting stuff. Let me know if you have any question in the comment. You can also send me an email or you can find me on my website. Have a good day. See you later.